After spending the night in Modern City, we went to the museum. There were many interesting exhibitions, some of which I have never seen before, even in the national museums. We're at the Khuvsgul Province Center, Modern City, and we're in the Provincial Center Museum. And as I mentioned before, every province in Mongolia has their own small museum dedicated for their region and people. So this is where you would come when you visit Khuvsgul. Before Buddhism, shamanism was the main religion of Mongolian nomads. Even today, lots of people still practice this religion. Shaman costume varies in different regions, and this is the northern shaman costume. Each and every string on this costume has its own meaning, so be sure to ask your guide when you're in this museum. Shamanism is one of the most ancient religious practices, and these kinds of avos are dedicated to shamanism. You can find such avos throughout the country, but in the northern parts of Mongolia, people are more close to their nature and to their ancestors, so you can see much more of them around these parts. Mongolians say that a blacksmith who doesn't make his own equipment and tools is no smith at all. This jewelry smithing equipment is absolutely amazing. A Mongolian lock is one of a kind in the world. Making tiny or very elaborate design locks was a way of showing off one's skill and, for the buyer, a way of showing off their wealth. Even the shape of the key looks like a beautiful traditional pattern. Flintlock rifles were used by Mongolian hunters in the remote areas well into the late 20th century. Can you believe that Mongolian hunters used to make their own flintlock rifles and lead bullets? Certain people have a very peculiar crib for their babies. They hang this crib on top of the fireplace in their yurts, which are like teepee tents. Unlike settlers, nomads can't hang around the house all day to look after their babies, so this was one of the ways to make sure the baby is okay. After touring the museum, we made our way to Khuvsgul, a village located at southern tip of Lake Khuvsgul. Since some region centers are much more isolated compared to others, such as province centers, there is no central heating system. So in order to survive the winter, the schools and hospitals prepare this much wood just for the winter. And during the summer, they prepare it by hand. And of course, with recent technological advances, it seems like they're using chainsaws. But before that, all this wood was prepared just by hand and hard work. When we arrived in Khuvsgul, we saw piles of firewood prepared for winter. I've only heard of stories of how much wood my father used to prepare when he was young, so I really wanted to see it for myself. Of course, preparing all this wood is really hard work, so let's ask how hard it is from the lumberjack. So, how much wood do you use during the winter for one scoop?
Үлдээ бол нэг 100 гаруй машин модал бэлтгэж байгаа да. Нийтдээ нэг. Тэгээ бас явантаас их яг хүйтэн сартаа бол 12-1 сартаа бол нөөс бас төлнө, олж төлнө.
How long does it take to prepare this much wood just for the winter?
Ана хавар нэг 3 сарын хордоос тэгэл бэлдэж эхлэн төлөөгөө. Нэг энэ нөхрөл ойн нөхрлөөд бэлддэг байхгүй юм одоо. Тэгэл энэ хөрөөд хагалж яаснаа шаажлаа.
It is quite amazing how there is still a job called a fireman. Not a firefighter, but a fireman who works the stove and prepares fuel. It was quite interesting to experience it myself. The chainsaw was a vintage one made in the Soviet Union. Cutting wood with it looked easy enough, but it actually required lots of skill, and I couldn't get through a thin piece of branch. So we've finally arrived at Khuvsgul Lake. We arrived here last night, and until morning I didn't notice the large beautiful lake. And when you're traveling for many days, you need just a little bit of comfort, otherwise you'll be more tired. So we chose Ashkha tourist camp just for that purpose. The Blue Pearl of Mongolia. This lake holds 74% of all Mongolia's freshwater reserve, and its water is drinkable without any treatment. It is one of the most popular tourist destinations of Mongolia, both during summer and winter. There are tons of activities around it as well as on the lake. If you like hiking, the lake is surrounded by beautiful mountains with unspoiled nature. Horse riding trips around the lake are also quite popular. Various camps around the lake offer services such as mountain biking, motorboats, jet skis, and even diving. Ashkha has 15 gear camps and 2 houses, so if you're feeling a little bit of homesick, you can choose the houses. And there's also proper toilets and showers, which is a little bit of hard to come by when you're traveling through Mongolia. And there's also a coffee shop, so you can sip on a coffee when you're chilling next to this wonderful lake. If you like ferry cruises, you're in luck, because Lake Khuvsgul has the biggest and the only commercially available ship in Mongolia, the Sukhbatar. Stay tuned with us to watch the interview with the captain of the ship. On the way to the Tsatan camps, we came across a small bazaar. Various handmade items made from reindeer antlers, as well as locally caught fish, were on sale. It was a souvenir shop out in the wilderness. The Tsatan people, one of the last groups of nomadic reindeer herders in the world. They never settle in one location. Even steppe nomads settle in one location during the winter months, whereas Tsatan people migrate around following their reindeer herds. We interviewed a Tsatan entrepreneur who was offering pictures with reindeers to learn more about reindeer herding. How hard is it to herd reindeer?
Цаа гэдэг мал бол юу хэцүү мал манлахад хажууд нь ингээ байнгын одоо энэ уул хатналаа гарч нэг хөвд гэдгийг үсээ нийтүүлж өглөө нэг 4 цагт гараад өдөр нэг 8-9-ийн үед авчирч ингээл уяал сүйдэр дамжуулаад тэгээ ялаа шомол үздэггүй амтан халуу үздэггүй амтан тэгээ өвчилж байрны энэ халуу малуу яах юм бол жоохон л юм бол өвчлээ доголж бариад сусаар их өвчилдэг мал.
So, which some province did you come from?
Одоо би цагаан нуур сумаас ирсэн. Цагаан нуур сум баруун тайгнаас ирээд одоо энд 14 хонж анахна.
Is it hard to ride a reindeer?
Хэцүү энэ одоо энэ цусан өртөө байгаа үе. Тэгээ унахад их хэцүү. Тэгээ уул хатанд явхад энэ мартаанд одоо ингээд шалгуурч хараад яах юм бол цус алдаад.
What products does reindeer produce?
Яг сүүгэн цаагаас үлчин. Их өтгөн сүйтэй мал байдیں۔ Одоо нэг цаанаас болохоор нэг амнаа халуух хэрэгтэй сүү гарна. Тэгээ тэр нь болохоор нэг 3 литр усыг бол сүлжигэн тийм өтгөн сүйтэй.
What about herding the reindeer in winter?
Өвөл зам бол өвөл болохоор уяасраа наваад ингээ уулаар гаргачдیں۔ Ууландаа ингээ байж гэн. Тэгээ жоохон давс өгөөл. Тэгэл тэрүүндээ ингээ эргэж тоороод байж гэн. Тий, зундаа болохоор чин зэрэг тийм юу хариулж байна байнгийн хажууд нь. Өвөл болохоор ингээд өндөр ууланд цаас мас их орох.
орох юм бол уяа осроо аваад ингээд тавьчдээ.
Northern parts of Mongolia, especially Khuvsgul province, is land and home to the Tsatan people. They tamed and herds these majestic, beautiful animals. So if you come to the northern parts of Mongolia, maybe to Khuvsgul, make sure you visit one of their camps, and you can even enjoy riding them or even pet them. So make sure you visit them. There are a number of ways to explore this beautiful lake on the surface. So I'm gonna try one of these jet skis, and I have a fear of deep water, and I think it's high time to conquer my fears. After visiting the Tsatan people, we returned to the shores of the lake to try out the jet skis and the diving. It wasn't really hard to get the hang of the jet skiing because there was nothing to worry about. There are no roads that I must follow, and if I fall, I would just land in water instead of face planting into the dirt. Even though I have a fear of deep water, the surface wasn't too bad. The real time to face my fears was diving into the lake afterwards. It is absolutely amazing. When I started the throttle, I just had this amazing adrenaline rush, so you have to try this when you come to Khuvsgul Lake. While my adrenaline was still pumping, we visited the camp that offers diving services. I don't know what I expected from it, but diving was a truly amazing experience. My phobia of deep waters was completely changed with curiosity to explore more of the deep sea. Right at that moment, I decided that I will learn how to swim and to learn more about diving. After that, we continued our journey and took a motorboat to the Wish Rock. Every tourist camp around Khuvsgul Lake offers services such as kayaking, boat, and motorboat, so we're gonna try out a motorboat today. When we got there, what amazed me was that there were seagulls all around that rock. I thought these birds only lived around the seashores. In the maximum depth, Khuvsgul Lake is actually 260 meters deep. And there are many cars down here because the ice broke during the winter and they just sunk down. So I think there are more cars down the lake than there are boats on the surface. We're here at the Wish Rock, or Khuvsgul as locals call it, and this is where you can come and wish from the mother pearl for anything actually. So these motorboat trips are actually quite fun, and if you're feeling more adventurous, you can hire jet skis or kayaks. So it's up to you to explore the Pearl Mother. This is Sukhpatra ship, the one of the most popular tourist attraction for both domestic and international tourists coming to Khuvsgul Lake. Even though Mongolia is a landlocked country, we rent our flag to international trade ships, and this is the only ship that operates within Mongolian borders. The Sukhpatra ship was one of our main goals. We got to the ship, but we couldn't find the captain. The Sukhpatra ship's daily trip was already over when we got there, and the captain was somewhere else. So we traveled to Hang to interview the captain of the Sukhpatra ship. So let's talk to the captain of the ship. So would you kindly introduce yourself to our audience?
За би бол одоо Khuvsgul аймгийн харьяа хангас сумын уугуул иргэн Лувсан зэргийн бат ундарчигч байна. За би 1980 оноос хойш одоо энэ Сүхбаатар онгоцонд тасралтгүй одоо ажил амьдралаа үүсгээд 40 жил ажиллаа хийгээд байж байна. Би бол ерөөсөө ерөнхийдөө бол анх ажлынхаагаараа бол одоо барагдахаар энэ хүртэл Сүхбаатар онгоц уураар явдаг Сүхбаатар онгоцоос эхэлсэн. Сүүлдээ бол яг бол дамжин юм эрхүү гэсэн зөвхөн одоо манай шип харилцаатай тэгээд одоо хамтарч ажиллаж байсан.
Could you tell us about the history of the current Сүхбаатар ship?
Khuvsgul урд 1905 оноос эхэлж хөлөг онгоц төвж ирсэн. Түүхтэй. Тэгээд 1932 онд анхны Сүхбаатар онгоц модон Сүхбаатар онгоц явж ирсэн. Цагаан хааны үед л Оросууд одоо тэр онгоцыг жолоож яваад 56 оноос эхэлж Монголын анхны капитан Гавьяат тээвэрчин чадраа бол гэж юм одоо экипаж өрдүүлж тээвэр хийж ирсэн. За энэ Сүхбаатар онгоц бол 1985 онд одоо Оросын холбоотой улсаас анх одоо ирж угсарцсан. Оросын 60 ажилтан ирж идэнгүүт бүтэн жил угсарч Khuvsgul нуур дээр хөвлөд одоо 35 дахь жилдээ ачаа тээвэр бол аялал жуулчлалаар явж байгаа. Ачаа тээврийн асар төв чирэгч онгоцоо. За 3 чиргүүлтэй, долгион Khuvsgul урагс гэсэн 3 чиргүүлтэй, долгион чиргүүл нь 500 тонн хураа ачаачдаг, Khuvsgul чиргүүл нь 400 тонн, урагс чиргүүл нь 300 тонн шатхуу ачгсаар байлтай. За энэ 3 чиргүүлийг чирээд одоо баруун 3 аймаг, завхан Khuvsgul ус 3 аймаг одоо бүхэл ачаа бараагаар хангаж байсан. Тэгээд 6 сарын 10-наас 12 сарын 10 хүртэл тасралтгүй одоо ачаа дээдэг байсан. Ханхаас хатгалын хооронд Оросын холбоотой улсаар одоо ханхад одоо төрөл бүрийн ачаа бараа орж ирнэ. Тэрнийг л одоо тээх зорилттой ийм онгоц аваа. Одоо сүүлийн үед бол одоо ачаа тээвэр ирэхгүй болсон учраас аялал жуулчлалын чиглэлээр одоо зохион байгуулж одоо 30-аас дээш одоо 180-аас доош одоо хүн тээвэрлэх ийм зорилттойгоор ажиллаж байгаа. Тэгээд одоо бүх хүнд одоо сандал, хантааз одоо аюулгүй ажлыг одоо хангаж одоо аялал жуулчлалаар ажиллаж байгаа.
What about the spare parts?
Тэгээ усаа усны сэлбэг бол энэ жоохон ховор талтай. Тэгвэл одоо Оросын холбоотой улсаас эрхүү утаас эрхүүгээ доосон завтай шипи холбоотой одоо эрхүүгээс л одоо запас сэлбэг авч үнэлж байгаа. Тэгвэл усаа усны нэвдрэл одоо бас харьцангуй гайгүй. Яагаад гэхэд энэ онгоц чинь одоо 2 сар орхоо одоо газар л яваад байгаа шүү дээ. Тийм учраас бас нэвдрэл гайгүй.
Do you have a successor in mind?
Дараагийн залгамж бол одоо манай хүү наттай цуг одоо бас одоо 10 гаруй жил ажилласан. Одоо ган зоригтой хүү байгаа. Тэр бол одоогоор туслах хавтай хийж байгаа. Одоо тэгээд энэ жилээс одоо хойдгоос тэгэл авахаа ажил үргэлж одоо гүйцэтгэхэд бэлэн байгаа.
Museum, and here is an old Soviet era diving suit which was used to salvage the Сүхбаатар 2 ship which was sunk around the 60s. So this suit actually weighs around 86 kilograms and was used to save and salvage the ships around here. Everyone has their own reason to travel around the world. While some people just want to visit popular tourist sites, others want to isolate themselves from the rest of the world to unwind a little. You can find anything you are looking for in the land of the nomads. What we showed you today is just part of the experience and adventure that you can find when you visit wonderful lands of Mongolia.